going to show a chart of Bitcoin year to date. I think volatile is a euphemism. This is it's quite some action on this chart. But you actually believe that holding Bitcoin, it gives people more control over their investments. And you actually call it beautiful. I've never heard that term for Bitcoin. Can you kind of explain your thesis here?
Yeah, so from a price perspective, remember that Bitcoin was trading at $10,000 in October of 2020. So it basically went up 400% in less than 90 days. It kind of had this parabolic run. And so it had a 20% retracement. That's pretty natural. If you go back to the 2017 bull run, Bitcoin between 2016 and 2017, when it more than 20x'd in price, had 5 corrections of over 30%. And so naturally what you're going to get is you're kind of going to get these mini boom and bust cycles. But over a long period of time, even just 1 year in 2017 bull market, you had a 20x in price. And so the halving in 2020 really kickstarted the next bull market. And I think what we're seeing here is this is kind of the first correction, but it's still higher than it was in October of 2020. And we're going to continue to see it move higher and higher in the coming months.
So, Anthony, you agree it's volatile. We're going to agree right there. You're saying there's many boom and bust cycles. But I think the question everybody wants to know is, what is the true worth of Bitcoin? And is it in any shape or any form tied to the value of the dollar? Because we've seen the dollar bounce and then we've seen the Bitcoin fall.
Yeah, well, look, Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve ran a $3 trillion marketing campaign for store of value or inflation hedge assets in 2020. And whether you believe inflation is actually going to occur or not, there's a fear of inflation. And so investors are moving capital into precious metals, Bitcoin, real estate, et cetera. And I think that Bitcoin has been the big winner out of that group. And we've seen the price movement kind of follow. And now what we're watching is we're watching Bitcoin really go from a contrarian trade on Wall Street to a consensus trade. So you had retail come in first. Now you have institutions. I think next you'll see corporations. Everyone from Fortune 100 companies on down will start to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And then eventually we're going to see central banks around the world start to put this into their reserves. Right now, we're kind of transitioning from that retail to institution. And after that, we'll go from institutions into the corporates. And again, it's just Bitcoin is a better asset. If you compare it to something like gold, it's a 10x improvement from a technology standpoint off of gold. So a store of value use case is kind of a low-hanging fruit. And then if you start to look at it as an actual digital currency, it's a decentralized digital currency. Can it rise to global reserve status? I think that's the big question investors around the world are speculating on. And we'll find out, kind of how the market, plays out here over the coming years.
Well, what's your opinion? Can it be a global reserve currency? Is that actually the trajectory of this asset?
I think Bitcoin will be the next global reserve currency. And the reason why is every fiat currency has the same exact structure. Basically, it's controlled by a group of people. It is devalued over time to kind of incentivize people to get out of the currency and either invest or consume. And so Bitcoin comes along. It's the only currency that we have that is, one, decentralized, right? So that is different than the fiat currency. And two, it has a different structure. It is deflationary in nature. There's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be available. And so when you look at this, sound money or gold really lasted for thousands and thousands of years as money. In 1971, we decided to get off that gold standard and kind of built the financial system we have today. But that's a relatively small blip in history that we don't have sound money.
So, Anthony,
I think with the creation of Bitcoin, we're going back.
Agreed on that one point. I don't mean to cut you off. So a small portion of time since we went off the gold standard, but Bitcoin has an even shorter track record. So could it be replaced by some other cryptocurrency, or are there any others out there waiting in the wings to take over?
Yeah, there's over 8,000 different digital assets. They all try to serve many different purposes. I think Bitcoin is by far the winner when it comes to cryptocurrencies. There's other things that are trying to serve as commodities or even digital securities, but Bitcoin as a currency is by far the winner. And you have to remember that a currency is really a belief system. Will people accept it, and do they believe that it has value? And then two is a network effect. The more people that use it, the more value that it accrues, the more utility it has. So Bitcoin's network effect has really set in. And it now has this kind of escape velocity when it comes to adoption. There's over 100 million people who use Bitcoin. And now you're starting to talk about retailers using it. You're talking about some of the largest institutions on Wall Street. So I think we're kind of just getting started when it comes to mainstream adoption of this asset.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.